Today we're going to take a look at how to change cork tape on a rod. As you can see, we have wear spots. This cork has gotten old. It's starting to degrade. And it's not a hard project. So the first thing we're going to do, take a new razor blade and we're going to cut off the butt cap. Make a simple incision. And then you're going to pry off your old butt cap. Right, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to come up here and we're going to cut over here. We're going to use a piece of tape to get a good straight edge. What you want to make sure is that you get this as straight and as neat as possible on the first try. The reasoning for that is later on, after you get your cork tape on here, you're going to put a finish on. So the neater it is up front, the easier it's going to be to seal this whole thing back up. What I usually do is when I'm up here into the epoxy, I'll take a burner and I'll just heat it lightly. And what this allows me to do is cut through this epoxy a little bit easier. A couple of seconds, and then I'll take my knife or razor and just make a slit. I can't stress enough, do not go too deep with this. If you do cut into the blank, your blank will explode on the next cast when you do go fishing. Alright, so I make a nice shallow cut. And then I remove my epoxy. Take your razor and follow around the tape. Again, a couple of turns around, just enough to score your epoxy so you get that nice straight cut. You don't need a lot of pressure with this. Take your epoxy. Now you should be able to reach right in there, and as you can see, peel back your thread. A lot of rods, guys will just use shrink wrap on there, or some of the factory rods, they use those rubber grips on the end. Those are very easy. Cut those off and your work is done. You're down to your bare cork. Now, one of the things I do, not everybody does, is I'll take my burner and just slightly heat my cork tape. And the reason I do that is it helps the glue soften up a little bit and helps that cork tape come off a little bit cleaner. So I'll heat it a tad. And then I'll start the process of unpeeling my cork tape. Again, heat it a little bit. And peel back. You can see 95% of your backing and your glue comes off this way. If you did this totally cold, you would have a lot of residue on here to clean up later. Heat it again. You don't want to heat this to the point where you set this on fire, or you're stinking up your house. I'm sure nobody's going to be happy if you do that. Okay, now getting close to the end. Now remember, we made a nice neat slit. Okay, and as you can see, it came off nice and straight. Okay. Now I'll take my burner again, and where I have some backing left over, I'll just heat it up again. Notice it's only a couple of seconds. And we'll get off as much of this backing as we can. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to clean this up. We want to get all this residual glue off that we can. So just take a little alcohol that you get in the drugstore. Just wipe it on down. A lot of guys at this point clean it up and then apply the new cork tape to it. I'll usually take a piece of sandpaper and run it up and down. It breaks the sheen and it allows better adhesion of your cork tape. Okay. Open it up. Piece of sandpaper. You don't have to go crazy with this. It's just a matter of you want to clean up what you have here. The blank's been cleaned up, and now it's time to apply the cork tape. First thing we want to do is we want to get an accurate measure, because this cork tape goes on at an angle. So what we want to do is get an accurate measure of the circumference here. And how we do that is we take a piece of tape and we apply the tape right around the blank up to the point either of your reel seat, if you have a reel seat on the rod, or whatever is existing here. In this case, we have the finished wrap of a butt wrap. So what we do is we take the tape and we bring it around once, completely around the blank, and you'll see the shadow. If you only do it once, you'll see a very clear shadow. Take the razor blade, put the razor blade in here, and make a clean cut. What this is doing is giving you the circumference of your blank. So we take this off carefully so we don't rip it. And now this piece we just took off will give us the exact length of the cut we need. So we take that and we transfer this piece of tape to the cork tape. Okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to take the piece of tape, go up to the corner of where the cork tape starts, and then you're going to come across and you're going to bring that piece of tape to where it comes to the end of the cork tape, the opposite side. Like this. And that's going to give you your cut. That's going to tell you how long that cut has to be. Take a pair of scissors and make that cut. And you want to make sure you're right at that corner. Now when you take your piece of cork tape and you put it up against here, you'll see that your cork tape is going to meet right on that corner. So that the point is coming right to the corner where you're starting. And what this will allow is this will allow you to get a nice tight fit on your first couple of wraps on your cork. And one of the things I do that's optional is I put a little bit of contact cement up here where I start and at the bottom where I end. And that just allows me to get better adhesion on my cork tape to ensure that it doesn't come unraveled. Okay, a little bit here. You don't need a lot. Just enough at both ends so that it's going to grab. So now we've waited a few minutes for that contact cement to tack up. And now it's just a matter of making sure that your cork tape is butt up against either your reel seat or your previous wrap. And as you can see here, we have a nice tight fit, right, which down the road will give it a very finished look. So now we just keep playing out the tape and we keep the pressure on to keep the seams tight.